Yeah. So
Really,
I'm
you
trying to.
haven't recorded the whole time, Thomas? And it was good stuff. We're
No,
talking about good stuff here.
we're just gonna do it live.
Okay, so I'm trying to
Well, yeah,
find.
I mean, you started recording. But when you go on YouTube, it's going to start from the point you recorded.
Yeah, I know.
So you
Okay,
missed the
so
whole 30
I
seconds of that conversation.
I told you guys I didn't announce I was recording yet. So
fair. So you said this was a
Well,
post, an
I didn't
IBJJF
hear it.
post on Instagram that they
Yes,
posted like
yes,
a clip of his match.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
anyways, a little bit of an informal conversation. Frankie, it's been a big couple of weeks for you, hasn't it?
Man, it's been busy as hell. So Wilson competed in his MMA match 4 weeks ago, which this is a whole big controversy. Like, I don't know what's going on, but Wilson got in an MMA match. He won,
Mm-hmm.
good and dandy. And he goes, "Hey coach, put me on reserve for the TCB fight." So I was like, okay. So I shot it. I was like, hey, we're just reserve. If you guys need a catch weight at whatever, we got it. Anything from 165 to 170, even 180, we'll
Mm-hmm.
do. Not even 2 days later, the promoter for TCB was like, "Hey, is Wilson ready?" I'm like, what's up?" And they're like, "Oh, we have a match for him at 165." So I was like, uh, okay. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want to do the 165 because he died on his MMA weight cut. That's a whole different topic. Just let me finish this one
Mm-hmm.
first.
Mm-hmm.
He came in and I was like, you know what? Let's do 170. So we're like, okay, cool. So we end up going to 170, and he only had like 2 weeks of a fight camp. So we had no strategy, we had no game plan. I came up with some, like, I saw a footage of his opponent to see, because what I do is, I shouldn't be telling y'all this, but what I do is I look for film and see if they can, whatever mistakes, and a lot of people do this stuff, but I saw his opponent. I was like, hey, we're gonna be doing this and this. So it was like, okay, cool. So we trained it. We trained it. And shout out to Belinda. She just joined our gym to do Muay Thai, but she's the coach at over there at American Top Team in Ashburn. So she helped out with Wilson with the boxing and stuff like that. Um, uh, we show up to the weight cuts, and it was like the guy was like, "Oh, you're cutting, you're fighting on 165." I was like, "Hell no, we said 170," and I showed him I had proof, and they're like, "Oh, it's a typo." I was like, "Okay, cool." So we did it, and if you were there at the fights, right, Yana?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see me yelling to the top of my lungs for Wilson to do what we practiced, and he didn't even do it? I was so mad at him.
I don't know what you had in practice.
So, well, in practice, when we were supposed to do is keep him away, and then a lot of boxing, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
boxing, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
boxing. He threw no boxing, not one, no combinations, nothing. I'm yelling combinations, combination. And what frustrates me about Wilson is that, like, I'm like, when we get to the back, I'm yelling at him. I'm like, what the? You didn't hear what I said? I was like, did you hear me? He goes, yeah. So I'm like, so why didn't you do what I told you to do?
Mm-hmm.
The second round ended. The second round ended, and he looked at me, and he knew I was pissed. He knew I was pissed. I should have slapped the shit out of him. I just went,
That would
wake up.
not have been good PR.
No, it wouldn't, but it would have been like the traditional Master Chun slap. But we came up top. We came up top. The opponent came in the same way. I know what he was looking for. He was looking for that overhand knockout, try to knock Wilson out. But the Wilson's we practiced that. We already know what the game plan is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the weight cut was good. It was pretty simple. He wasn't off by the on Friday. On Friday when he was like 5 pounds, so that wasn't too hard for him.
Yeah.
But he's
I
done
did.
from he's done for fighting for a bit.
Yeah. How long do you think he's going to be on hold?
I'm trying to we gotta get our fight team is like really really like depleted. It's only like him and Ranveer, which I
Mm,
need. We're gonna do a scouting starting like in 2 weeks here, and we're gonna pick a few guys and see if they stick. And if they
mm,
stick, good. If they don't, then they won't make it.
yeah.
But at our
I
gym, we don't. You can't come up to us and say, "Hey, I want to be on a fight." No, it doesn't work that way. It's like
mm,
we're looking and we're seeing who has the talent for the fight teams.
mm, yeah, because you don't want to invest in like the wrong people. I will say
Right.
I noticed during his fight he seemed so calm. He was just like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the pep talks that we give him, that I give him in the bull, I call it the bullpen. I don't know what everybody else calls them, but I call it the bullpen. There's this little room there where they hold us, and it's closed by two doors. And I give him a little spiel, and I'm like, hey, listen, we've been here. This is where we're at. This is what we need to do. This is who we are. And at that point, he gets his jitters out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you notice when a fighter is like nervous, he'll start
Mm-hmm.
pacing or and I notice his hands, and I'm like, his hands are all sweaty. I'm like, oh, you're clammy.
Mm,
Well, then once you basically do 2 rounds in the back, like of
yeah.
like an actual fight in the back with yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
then when you come out to the ring, you're like well prepared.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you get the nerves out that way.
Yeah,
Yeah. I know
but let
like
me go back. Yeah, let me go back to Wilson's MMA fight though. So he fought at 165. He didn't cut weight the way we usually cut weight, and he was like 15 pounds over. So in 4 hours, he lost like 15 pounds.
how?
Well, we did our traditional put on tie oil, put on a sauna suit, work, 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 work.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it was time to go, we were like 11 pounds over, man. I was like, fuck. So at that time, I was like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I'm over here thinking of like, okay, I need a sauna. So we're in the sauna. I finally find a sauna. There's a Gold's Gym literally like 2 minutes away. I end up paying like $40 for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And Wilson is like sweating. He's going through it. This kid is going through it. Wilson went fuck. And I've seen people cut like 10 pounds, 12, 11 pounds, but not 15.
Mm.
So
That's dangerous, don't you
it
think?
is, it's very dangerous, very, very dangerous, which I was very concerned. There was a moment in time when Wilson lay down on the fucking bench in the sauna, and I was like, I hit on the door, I'm like, boom, boom, Wilson, get up. And he got up, and I was like, don't ever lay down. And I'm like, because if you fucking die here, that's it. So I made sure that he was still hydrated as I picked this, and it's so hard to determine on how you're doing and whatnot. And there was a last moment, and when it was a last pound, our last pound, and I was like, Wilson, we need to cut this last pound off. We got to do it somehow, and we're running out of time. Weigh-ins are ends at 9. And I'm telling the promoter, I'm like, hey, I'll be there at 7. We'll be there at 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't happen. So we're crunching. I'm like, Wilson, I was like, I need another minute from you in the sauna. He goes, okay, another minute. I got another minute. He goes, okay. I put him in there, and I'm talking to him and talking to him. He's like, Coach, how long? How long? And I was like, oh, you only been here 10 seconds. And then I'm like, he's talking. He's like, how long? I was like, you only been here 15 seconds. He's like, why does time seem so like going forever? And I'm like, and in the back of my mind, I'm hurting him because I'm like, already it's been 5 minutes and he's talking and he thinks it's like seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But I need this last pound to come off. And we're talking. He's like, how long? I was like, you only been here 30 seconds, Wilson. Shut the hell up and just like keep talking. So he's like talking and talking and talking and talking. He's crying. He's crying. He's doing all this other crazy shit. I get his ass out, and I was like, boom. And sure enough, he lost that pound. We rush down there. We only had like 3 minutes to weigh in. We rush. He weighs in, and he's good. And I told him, I was like, hey, drink slowly. And somebody gave him an orange. I was like, don't eat that orange because you're going to throw up. I turned around. He already ate the orange. I was like, Wilson, you're going to throw up. The citrus in that orange is going to fuck you up. So he's like, I'm good. I'm like, okay. So he's downing down water and electrolytes. I end up going to the 7-Eleven to get him more water. And then all of a sudden, we're pulling out. I'm ready to take him home. He goes, stop, coach. I'm like, what? He started puking the water, puking the orange. I was like, I told you. So once we got that out of the system, then we like did it the right way, and
That's
he was all right.
crazy, man. You
And
are about
this is
to
what this is
kill
what
him.
fighters do. This is what fighters do.
And this
This
is
is
why
why,
I don't appreciate the whole weight cut part of
yeah,
MMA, and it's just so dangerous. Like people, you can
it's
die
so
from that.
dangerous.
Literally
This
can
is true,
die.
but like, yeah, there was an amateur fight a couple years ago where a guy dehydrated, but he didn't hydrate properly enough. Which this is the coach's fault because you got to keep talking to your fighters like, hey, how much water did you drink? How much did you eat? Did you shit? Like literally, did you poop? Um, and when stuff comes out the other way, it means that your body's processing through stuff.
Hmm.
So we're going back to normal. Unfortunately, the guy that passed away, he didn't rehydrate properly enough the next day, and he got in a match, and it was amateur, and he got in a match, and the guy died.
That's
He
crazy.
took too much trauma and he wasn't doing right. And then when he got to the hospital, they pronounced him dead because he was that bad. He was that badly dehydrated.
Yeah, quick note. I just want to make a quick note that for all you viewers out there, our chat is frozen right now, so we can't respond, but keep sending us messages. Anyways, go on,
Yeah.
Frankie.
Yeah, sorry, real quick. I'm working on it. So yeah, I'll let you guys know when it's not frozen.
So
Go ahead.
so you know, I'm still a new coach to this, but I reach out to the people that know this, that've been out there. So I was making sure Wilson is safe. I'm making sure that I'm doing things right. I'm like crossing my T's and dotting my I's that like even if you're a pro, always reach out to people that know what to do or how to do it. So we kept them safe. We kept them all right. We kept them hydrated. But just for the next probably 2 months, we're gonna give Wilson a rest.
Yeah, that's just like crazy because I've never done a drastic weight cut like that. I think I don't know if that happens as much in jujitsu,
Yeah,
but
I have. I've done it like 4 times already. Like a huge drastic weight cut. I cut like what was it like? I think like 30 pounds in a month.
mm,
Yeah, it was crazy. That one was crazy. Um, but I was pissed off a lot, a lot. And it's
because you were
just,
training
and the
hard and not
thing
eating
is,
as much.
yeah, and it's the thing is that these people do these weight cuts because they want to be the bigger guy in the ring, right?
Hmm.
So when you're fighting at 135 and you're 6'5" at 135, when you rehydrate, you're back to like 180, 190, and you're a huge dude pummeling this one guy and you're beating everybody in your division, you know?
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that. I feel like
Yeah. Like I was in New York for Warriors Cup My phone's about to die, so if I leave you guys, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But I was at Warriors Cup down in New York a couple years ago, and there was this girl at 6'3", weighing 105 pounds.
Oh my gosh, that's what we call
This girl was
anorexia.
lean. It was like, no, she was leaned out. Like every vein popped out, every muscle popped out. And you see her little ass opponent at 5'1". This poor soul got her ass demolished by this 6'3" girl. And it was so crazy. So crazy. But this is what people do.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I have mixed feelings about it because like I get the purpose of it. I just think it's gotten to such an extent where I thought it's like they're trying to overcompensate for a technique. It's like, why do you have to be that much bigger and suffer through that big of a weight cut? Do you not
Yeah.
believe in your own technique? Like, isn't that what it should be about? It's not about
Yeah.
like, beating down your opponent because you're bigger. It should be like, my technique is better, or I have
Yeah.
more grit, not because
So,
I suffered through a potentially life-threatening weight cut to be bigger than
yeah,
you in this ring. Like that just doesn't, it just seems
it's crazy.
irrational. It's
So
irrational.
Wilson, if you look at Wilson versus the people in his division, he's actually the smaller, except the guy that he fought this past weekend. He's actually the smaller one out of the 170s because those 170 dudes, they are pumping, pumping big, dude. Huge,
Hmm.
huge.
Yeah.
But
I think you definitely don't see it as much like these drastic weight cuts, like 15 pounds or whatever. You don't see it as much in jujitsu, and I think because um not only, can technique rule over any weight cut, um
yeah,
when it comes to like gi style jujitsu. I
well,
think I think maybe it would make more of a difference in no gi, maybe, because that's a lot more like dynamic
yeah,
and scrambling and yada yada yada. Um, but when you have the gi on,
yeah.
it's just like it's a whole
Well,
different game.
when I
Oh, and
could,
one more thing I want to say. And the other part of it is that even if you do compete at your weight class, you can still compete in absolute, right? So like the way that most jujitsu tournaments are structured is like you compete in your weight class, for your belt, your female versus male, then the belt level, then the weight, and then it's by weight, whatever. So you can compete in that division, but then once you win that division, you can run it out to that belt level, all open weight. So it's like at that point, doing a weight cut
yeah,
wouldn't even make any difference at all because you'd be going against people who are bigger than you in the absolute division, or smaller
yeah,
than you, and then it's like really all about who has better technique at that point.
yeah. Because
It's
when I
not.
competed in grappling industry a couple years ago, and I did the white belt adults or whatever it was, everybody was younger than me and heavier than me. I came 220. Everybody in that motherfucker was like 280, 300. That one dude that got first place, I swear he was like 400 pounds. The son of a bitch was huge.
Yeah, that's the
And I
problem.
was like, this is a BS. I came in third, but
But
yeah,
that's the glory of the ultra heavyweight because it's basically an open weight class. When
Mhm.
I was 240,
pretty much. These dudes were huge.
yeah. I mean, I was
These dudes
two,
were huge. I
I-
miss that.
yeah,
I kind of miss jiu-jitsu. I'll probably go back.
but like I was
Gotta get
248
back to old
pounds
gear.
and I was the smallest dude in my bracket the three times I competed at ultra heavy. Where'd Frankie go?
His phone died.
Oh, God damn
Remember,
it.
he warned us. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So,
Yana, we've been making
mhm.
waves at IB at Pans, our team.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a mixed bag. Um, I was following a lot of people and their how it turned out for them. I think we have 2 golds, one silver, 1 bronze. It seemed like it was a really high level of competition this this year. And I want to say that Angie competed in adult. She didn't compete um in her division, her
I,
master's division.
I think she did adults.
Yeah, because she wanted more matches, and
Hmm.
she's basically a beast, so it went well for her.
What'd she get? Silver?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm trying to see what bracket it was. No, she competed in Master One. Okay.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we had a few losses, not just with under Chantilly MMA, but also like big brothers writ large,
Hmm.
our affiliation. Lots of people did not do as well as I thought they would do, but
Hmm.
obviously they didn't think they would do as they were disappointed. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, uh, it all goes to show you never know what kind of competition you're gonna see at a tournament from one year to the next, from one tournament to the next. Um, some crazy stuff can happen. I know, like when I competed in Masters, that was a disappointing turnout. Because I got my gi stuck over my head, and that distracted me for enough time that my opponent got me in an armbar. So, um, but I was like 6 points up on her, and I knew I was better, and I could have beat her. I just got distracted. So you never know what can happen. Um, I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about like particular, like specific people or anything. I know we were talking about Master Sugi earlier. Um, And like I said, I haven't seen the entirety of his match. I think he only had one, and he lost that one. And from the snippet I saw, I think it was like the last few seconds, and he was going for a single leg takedown, but the way he landed was like almost into the person, and his opponent had at least one hook and his back. So it was a very surprising, like, I have to like go back and see that video again. I watched it a couple times. I was like, wait, what just happened? Like, what just happened? Um, so that was very surprising that he didn't do well, because I remember last weekend when I rolled with him, and I think everybody in our gym felt this way during open mat. He freaking crushed me. Like,
Hmm.
it was terrible. And I was like, okay, he's gonna demolish his opponent.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what you always think.
I was the head of the line at that open mat. I thought, oh, it's gonna be one of our usual like friendly rolls. Nope. Nope. He went full competition Sugi.
Mm-hmm. And it's scary.
It is, yeah.
I had like a shiner
Hmm.
and like torn lip from rolling with him that day.
Yeah.
And then like a bruise on my arm or whatever. I don't even know.
I have bruises. I had bruises on my chest from him and
Yeah,
and like at the base of my neck from when he was like trying to bow and arrow choke. But
yeah. It's like, damn, okay, like I get it. I get it. You're
it's
trying to
like
compete.
it's like but yeah, so man,
I
that
don't know. So
sucks.
this is like maybe this is how we pay our dues or something. Yeah, no, it's really disappointing to see, someone you know think is so good. Like there's no way they're gonna place at least, at least get some kind of medal.
Hmm.
And when then they end up losing their first match, it's like it's disappointing for everybody. And I know, like I said, at Masters Worlds last year, I cried after that match that I lost, because I
Hmm.
was like, I knew I could have you know, if I hadn't gotten distracted, I would have placed, you know.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
I think Wally's in the waiting room.
Is he?
That's what he says.
Oh, there he is.
But yeah, so I know, so this weekend, you know, there was a lot going on, as we talked about earlier. Wilson had his TCB fight.
Mhm.
There was the Pan Am, which is a 4-day event, that ended today, right? I think today was the last day for competition. But
Yeah,
then we also had Copa, um, the Copa tournament local in Annandale, Virginia.
we got an
And
award.
yep, and our gym got an award. I think it was silver, second place for kids.
I think
Um,
so.
mhm. And I saw some other people there, like Nakapan from Beta Academy was there representing his gym, and they got like I think second for adult. So they did the kids ceremony, I guess, at 9 before I
Mhm.
got there, and then they had another ceremony. It was basically like people just standing on the podium and taking a picture. But they had a second ceremony for the adults
Mhm.
trophies. So Beta seemed to do really well, and I can't remember what the other gyms were. Big Brothers was also there. Some people from Big Brothers were there representing that affiliation, but it was pretty small. It was a really small tournament. Lots of kids, you know, at the very beginning in the morning, and then a very short gi tournaments, like iteration of gi tournaments. I think that most of the focus was on kids and then no gi, because there was a lot of like no gi after the gi tournaments. I didn't stay for the whole thing. I was there for only like 4 hours,
Mhm.
but I think Copa is becoming more no gi centric, it seems. But I think it's also because there was Pan Am this weekend. So,
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit of both. Like I've noticed a lot more people practicing no gi nowadays. There's
mhm.
some people who started with gi who've moved almost completely to no gi.
Mm.
So
Why? Why do they do that? Do they say? Mm.
no real explanation,
Hmm.
you know. I
Probably
probably
like
I probably could get an explanation out of him, but I just don't. I just haven't dug into it very much.
Yeah. Hi,
might
Wale.
be like, hey, could be comfort level, because with gi you gotta get grips and all of that stuff, but I feel no gi is more sort of natural, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I told Wilson, because we talked about Wilson a lot earlier before you got in. You can do gi jujitsu with no gi grips if it
Mhm.
makes you feel any better, you know. You don't really have to get heavy death grips in, in order to do, gi.
Mhm.
I do, but it's just because I did judo for so long.
Yeah, I like my grips too. I mean, I'm all about that spider guard, that Lahiva.
And it makes my forearms nice.
Yeah, right. Exactly. How are you, Wale? What are you drinking?
It's like a bourbon with a mixer. I don't know. That's pretty good. Yeah, and I'm eating
Yeah.
chips and having ice cream and all that stuff.
It's been a while since we've chatted. I remember last time, like around the new year, like one of those sessions we had or
Mm.
podcast episodes we had, you mentioned that this year you were going to focus on competing a little bit more. How's that going?
So it started out okay because I was, really sort of focused on it, and then I got let go from my job, and that
Oh,
completely, yeah, I'm back in the job market, so I'm
mm,
finding stuff, but that completely derailed everything because remember I was like saying I was planning on possibly doing pans, yeah.
Pan Am.
Yeah, so that derailed everything. But I'm getting back into it,
Mm.
I'm trying to make sure that I don't let my jujitsu sort of drop off, even though other stuff is kind of going hectic in my life. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, that's kind of a big deal. That's what helps pay for the jujitsu hobby, you know? So
exactly.
if you don't have any money coming in, how are you going to pay for that kind of stuff, you
Yeah.
know? You should do some
Yeah,
jujitsu with your daughter.
yeah. She actually we had an in-house, and she got silver,
Oh,
and I
nice.
got bronze in my division. So slowly working her up to do an external competition. So
Where was this again? Where do you train again?
beta,
Beta. Okay, so there was
yeah.
an in-house beta. Okay,
Hmm.
tournament. I saw
Uh,
Nakapana Copa this weekend. He had
yeah,
his daughter with him. She's so cute.
yeah. I literally heard about Copa, like maybe a couple of days before the competition. I was like, nah, I'm gonna do
Mm.
the one in June. But I also got my blue belt today in judo. So
Ooh,
yeah, so that's fun.
nice. Also from Beta?
Oh no, from DC judo.
Okay. So you're training at
And
Beta and DC Judo.
yeah, I got a fifth stripe from Beta for doing the competition. So
Ooh,
now I'm a
nice.
five stripe blue
Wait,
belt.
do they literally give you a fifth one?
Yeah, so it's funny because it's like we were on the podium and it was me and two other folks, and you know, we all had, I think one guy had three stripes, and me and the other guy had like um four stripes. And Professor Nakapon comes up and he's about to strike me, and he's like, "Oh, you already have four stripes." And then he checks the next guy. He's like, "You have four stripes too." And he was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna give you all stripes." And someone was like, "Come on, do it." So we got five stripes now.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
He's a cool dude. I like him.
it is.
I saw him up at ADCC this past October,
Hmm.
but I didn't want to bother him. I think he was with family.
Hmm.
I usually say hi to him every once in a while, but
You say you saw him out in DC, or
no, at ADCC
oh, ADCC, yeah.
in where's it? New Jersey, Atlantic City. So, but it looks like two of our guys got promoted at Pans.
Yeah, I saw. That's cool.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, they became blue belts, right?
Amara got blue, and Dafka looks like he got purple.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Davka. Nice. I
I
didn't
I
see
don't know.
that.
I don't know what it is, but I still want to like a podium promotion.
You want to do what?
He wants a podium
A
promotion.
podium promotion.
Oh, I know. Well, it's just so epic to get one, you know?
It is.
Because like
I,
it's not just your gym, it's like other people, strangers, you know,
yeah.
seeing you getting promoted and just brings that
If
the excitement up.
if that happened to me, I might do the whole like falling down on my knees and the
Ripping open your jacket.
exactly. There was
But
a video I saw of this girl, this little kid. She was probably about 8 or 9. Yeah,
Hmm.
she does the whole coming out and like slapping herself to get ready. And she does all the crazy, jujitsu stuff, taps the other kid out, and she's like, yeah. And they lift her hand and she does the whole like, yeah. I was like, it's a bit much.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I was half expecting one of my sons to do that already, but neither of them have.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like unless it's something that really meant a lot, maybe it really meant a lot to that girl, you know? She trained super hard.
Yeah.
So was anybody here watching any of the Pan Am matches on Flow Grappling or no?
No, I didn't see any of them.
I feel
Uh,
like nobody has Flow Grappling anymore.
the only person who does that I know of is Jordan.
Mm.
So I mean,
So
I feel like people get it around big competitions and then cancel it.
Yeah,
Hey.
because it's like that
It's
makes sense.
probably, yeah, it's probably hard for them to maintain. I can't imagine. It's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How much a month is it? Because that's still good money.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
see.
I've never owned an account, so
Yeah. Like I said, the only person I know that has an account is Jordan, and he's down in Florida.
mm-hmm.
So, but anyways, interesting thing. I think I may have found a stand-up sequence that's really effective against guys who know judo and Mongolian wrestling.
Mm.
Oh,
Oh,
Yes.
so it's 150 a year, so 1250 per month.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah. But anyways, so I've been playing around with it in gi and no gi because you could do it in both. And I've had a lot of success. Except
Wait,
with huh?
are you gonna tell us what it is?
Yes. Do you know wrestling? Do you know how to do a Russian tie when you double grip 2-on-1 the arm?
Yeah.
No?
mm-mm.
So in wrestling, a Russian tie, you grab the arm and you pull it across, basically across your chest, and you put pressure on your opponent's shoulder so their posture breaks down. If they do Mongolian wrestling, they can't square up with you. If they do judo, not only can they not
Oh, I
square
see.
up with you, they can't get their hips in position in order to throw you. The cool thing
Mm.
is, a lot of wrestling takedowns, like the single and double, and a lot of judo techniques, such as like the body drop, shoulder throw, you can do that in a modified way from this grip.
Mm.
And if they try to turn into you, you just push their arm into them, like into them, and they're blocked with their own arm.
You could
Mm.
probably also square up and do like a sumigaishi.
They can try.
Well,
I've
no,
had
you can if you
oh
do the
yeah
Russian
yeah
tie. Yeah.
yeah yeah. And also I added a little bit of a Dagestani technique to it. So if their arm gets straight and I can get it outwards, I use my shoulder to put pressure on their shoulder and I can drag them to the ground.
Mm.
Easy.
I feel like I know. I'm trying to envision exactly the move you're talking about, and I feel like I almost got it, but I'm not sure if I have the right idea in my head. You're gonna have to send a link to the video um in the chat, but I've been speaking on that. I've been getting a lot of like what is it, waza
Like,
videos.
well,
Like
yeah, like the techniques, the wazas.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, but like a lot of them kind of incorporate a little bit of jujitsu in there too. Um, and so I've been getting a lot of those and like wrestling and some like MMA in my Facebook feed now.
Mm.
And I'm like eating it up because there are times where it's like, days where you can't train. And I feel like, okay, well, if I watch these videos, then at least I can stimulate my brain,
Mhm.
to because I've actually read that it's um if you cannot physically practice like whatever sport you're practicing, if you watch videos of the moves related to that sport, the neurons in your brain connected to the like muscles that you utilize when doing these moves during your sport, um, they will fire in your brain if you're watching moves related to the sport, like or a move that you typically do. So it's actually good practice to watch videos when you can't get out and actually train.
Yeah.
So anyway,
It's
side note.
motivation too.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going to tournaments too, like even if you're not competing in
Yeah.
tournaments, coaching at tournaments is like really helpful too. There's something about like, getting that adrenaline going and coaching whoever you're representing. Um that has helped me too. Because it's like it's always like the day after a tournament where I feel like really you know, motivated. I feel like my body's moving the way I want it to. And I'm sure that part of it is, you know, being that in-person experience and coaching and like being so in attuned to the match, you know,
Mhm.
on the mat. But
Yeah.
anyway, sorry.
Wole, did you have something to say?
No, no.
So Theo, I got him to compete finally at Grappling Industries.
Mm.
And I coached him his first match, and he said he hated me as a coach because I made him
Ooh.
nervous
Oh.
and he couldn't hear me yelling at him.
Mm.
So Alan swapped in, and his demeanor completely changed. He went from being like wound up to like super calm.
Mm.
And I noticed something. The way that he moves is very similar to how Sugi moves. And I thought it was just like him in the moment. And then I started paying attention closer when he's at the gym during class, and he moves exactly like Sugi does. Like how Jimmy and Johnny move like their dad, Sugi.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Theo moves exactly like him, except for a
Mm.
few things that I think resemble me. But I
Mm.
was just like kind of proud a little bit. But
Proud
Yeah,
dad
of
moment.
course.
yeah.
That makes sense. I mean,
Mhm.
if all their instruction has been under him, they're going to be doing, you know, his type of moves and, you know, watching, you know, monkey see, monkey do, watching the way he moves and trying to emulate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Saturday I ran their kids competition course class, and he was partnered up with a boy who's about 50 pounds bigger than him. And they're supposed to start from standing, and he runs up and gets like a deep underhook and a like a really deep collar tie on this kid, and just turns and off balances him to the point where he just falls onto the ground. I was sitting next to Noman. Noman's like, "Is he wrestling Mongolian style?" I was like, "Oh God, I think he is." So then
Yeah.
they get up and start over again, and Theo just starts like foot sweeping him, this other guy, and like lifting one of his shoulders up, dragging the other one down, turning him and blocking his foot. I'm like, oh crap, he's totally doing like
Okay, he
he's like
switched to
doing
judo
Mongolian
now.
wrestling. Like what? Like damn. We were just watching this happen, and I was like, where did like he had to pick this up from somewhere. I don't remember
It,
teaching the kids this. Right. Go
definitely
ahead.
Sugi.
Yeah.
Definitely Sugi. But Sugi doesn't really teach much Mongolian wrestling. He does some wrestling moves, but
So during open mat, as I found out, he'll like
To
after
watch.
at the beginning of open mat, he'll hang out with the kids and they'll
Mm.
play around with like wrestling stuff.
mm,
So Theo picked that up, but it was
That's
just
cool.
funny. It was funny. Noman was like, "Who's that Mongolian kid?" I was like, "The curly-haired one? That's not a Mongolian kid. It's my son."
definitely not far from Mongolian.
Well, I mean, 1% Mongolian according to 23andMe, but whatever.
Whatever.
But
Well, yeah. Yeah, so it was like a super busy weekend for everyone, I think. You know, jiu-jitsu wise and Muay Thai wise. I'm sure everybody's gonna be, you know, coming back on the mat with like a game plan of what they need to work
Mm.
on and um there's a lot of you missed this part of the conversation, Wale, but there were a lot of unexpected losses
Mm.
during Pan this year. So I think a lot of people are going to come back home feeling a bit disappointed, wounded, and with some kind of a game plan, you know, to get better for Worlds. I did hear. I went to Grindhouse this morning, and Bill told me that there's going to be an IBJJF Open in, I think, August in
Oh.
Virginia. Is
where?
that a thing? Fredericksburg?
I hope so because they haven't been back since like forever, and you know that's like the big one.
It was like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
it was
it's
in DC.
it
It was
was
in
in DC.
DC.
Yeah, it's probably getting too expensive for them.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's DC. So
Yeah.
yeah. And I think they weren't getting the turnout that was
Yeah.
allowing them enough revenue to
Mm.
make up that difference, maybe.
Mhm.
And I imagine the reason, if it indeed this tournament is going to be happening in Fredericksburg, I bet it's happening in Fredericksburg because of how much less expensive
Yeah.
it's going to be for them to like rent a venue or whatever. But if that's the case, if that's happening, I kind of want to, I mean, local tournament, why not, you know?
Yeah, I definitely want to do that. I gotta do Copa. I think it's in June, and then Grappling Industries later, and then probably PB&J, BJJ.
Oh, the peanut butter
Peanut butter and
jelly
jelly.
Yeah, yeah.
federation.
I did last one. I did last tournament. I did was there. It was organized through them, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, how
Not
was
bad.
it? I know they're kind of like the new people in town.
Yeah, it was pretty well run, you know. It's the mat spaces were a little bit smaller, but you know, that wasn't too much of a problem.
How many people? It was a good turnout.
Yeah, I mean it was a good turnout, but like so I not a lot of people from my school came. I think like two other people. I think just because it's out in like Maryland. It was out in
Mm-hmm.
Maryland. I think people are more used to doing like Copa and going out to Virginia.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's easier to drive to Virginia from DC.
Yeah.
Than Maryland, but yeah, I mean, definitely there's still some tournaments, you know, around the corner, springtime, summer,
Mm.
local ones, and you'll get your purple belt soon enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, fifth stripe. So silly.
I'm gonna ask for a 5th stripe on my brown belt.
I know, right? Just that much. One more step. It's like, oh, you're not completely there yet. One more eighth of the way. Um, but I'm gonna hop off.
Yeah.
Early morning tomorrow.
Yep. We can
And
call it here.
yeah, I definitely think there's some topics that we have a long list, a laundry list of topics
Yeah.
to discuss. We were kind of falling back on recording the podcast for a while. Life got in the way, but definitely want to, you know, rev it back up.
And
Yeah.
And
also next week we're gonna have a guest, Frank Zerner from Enforcers BJJ.
right
I
on.
talked to him last week. Or 2 weeks ago. He's a good guy. A lot of good insight. So
Right
Mhm.
on.
I think he would be good to add to the conversation.
Yeah, Angie too, if we can get her back on, the more the merrier.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see y'all later.
Okay, bye
All right. See
guys.
y'all.
All right.
Have a great
Have
night.
a good week.